Well, we've already seen the 49ers clinch their playoff berth. We've also seen the 49ers have the door opened for them to gun for that number one seed. Tonight, we get to watch the 49ers make the most of the opportunity in front of them. Playoff berth secured. Now will the 49ers go worst to first? Remember, they finished last in 2024, 6-11 in the NFC West. Now, this is an opportunity for San Francisco to finish at the very top of the division. This final three-game stretch is going to be absolute cinema. There's Brock Purdy himself instead of Martin Scorsese. I love that meme. We played it first, or we showed it first after the Seahawks beat the Rams on Thursday night. Now the 49ers are embarking on what might be a stretch of three straight primetime games to close the regular season. I think that this is the most compelling regular season stretch of the Kyle Shanahan era. Tonight it begins against Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts, a game that got a lot spicier just over a week ago when the Colts decided to sign the 44-year-old Rivers out of retirement. Big roster moves going to be coming today for the 49ers. I fully expect Yetur-Gross Matos to be activated from injured reserve. He's gotten a good 2 weeks of practice in, and this is a huge deal for the 49ers because Yetur is their best interior pass rusher. The 49ers defensive line has obviously been working. I don't want to say working with scraps because they've had some good performances up front, but they are definitely talent strapped compared to some of the years prior. A lot of that is because of the injuries that have taken place. Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams. The one that people haven't talked as much about is Yetur-Gross Matos, who's one of the better interior pass rushers in all of football. He is a physical freak. Yetur-Gross Matos can play on the outside, slide into the inside, beat guards in pass rushing situations after setting the edge against offensive tackles in rundown situations. The 49ers' biggest challenge today is going to be the Indianapolis Colts run game, which has trended in an interesting direction this season. First, a downward trend, now potentially an upward trend for Indianapolis. This is very, very correlated to quarterback strength. If you can't have a passing threat, or if you don't have a passing threat, it's going to be hard to run the football because opponents are going to crowd out that run game. The Colts saw their starting quarterback, Daniel Jones, break his leg around week 12. That's what I'm circling with my cursor. That's when the run game featuring Jonathan Taylor, which still ranks at the top in the NFL, even despite this downswing, that's when the run game came down to earth. 6 yards a carry prior to week 12, 3.7 yards per carry since week 12. Against Jacksonville here in week 14, Daniel Jones tore his Achilles, so he was done for good, even though he had tried to play on the broken leg. That's when Phillip Rivers was signed. And the big question tonight is how much of a passing threat can Phillip Rivers give Indianapolis? He's not going to have either of his starting offensive tackles, which is a big deal. He is going to have his weapons, though, on the outside. But Bernard Raymond is out for the Colts. He's the starting left tackle. He was just ruled out yesterday. I think that you look at the guards of this team are very, very good, led by Quentin Nelson, the first-round pick, former teammate of Mike McGlinchey's at Notre Dame, a good center, and Tanner Bartolini. The Colts can play up front, but the fact that they're going to be on a backup left tackle in this football game is a potential window of opportunity for San Francisco as they look to make sure that the Colts stay below average when it comes to running the football. There's a lot more data that we could look at, but I'd rather just talk about the matchups, and I want to talk about the 49ers' potential roster moves today. We can look at the depth chart for San Francisco to see exactly where Yetur-Gross Matos is going to fill in, assuming that he is, in fact, elevated or activated from the injured reserve list today. As you can see here, the 49ers have 52 of 53 spots filled. So it is open for Yetur-Gross Matos activation. The final decision is scheduled to be made today. The 49ers wanted to see how the hamstring would respond all the way up until the final minute. But as I told you, I talked to Yetur in the locker room. When was it? Yesterday, 2 days ago. I mean, time is starting to mesh together in my head. 2 days ago, I was in the locker room before the 49ers flew out to Indianapolis. I flew out to Nashville, and I'm about to head to the airport to go to Indy. But when I talked to Yetur, he was really, really happy about his 2 weeks of practice. He feels good. He's in a great mood. Obviously, it was tough for him at the end of October when he aggravated the hamstring injury. He's been dealing with the knee and the hamstring issues, but this is a supremely talented player who will immediately slot in to about a 20 snap per game role amongst this top 8 of the 49ers defensive line. And you go back today if you're San Francisco, which is big too. They can get up to 5 defensive starting caliber players back in the lineup for this game. I'm going to talk about Kendricks, the linebacker, who's definitely a starting caliber player in a little bit, but he's still working back into shape, although Kyle Shanahan was happy with the week that Kendricks had. Bryce Huff, Keon White, Cleveland Farrell, Sam Okuwanu, Yetur-Gross Matos. The 49ers would be 5 defensive ends deep for the first time in a long time. Because Yetur can also play on the inside, you could also say they might be 5 defensive tackles deep. These multi-positional players are the lifeblood of the 49ers defense under Chris Kacerek. So don't discount the importance of getting somebody like Yetur-Gross Matos back in this 49ers lineup, especially when you're playing a team that has the rushing history this season of the Colts. You want to keep them down here. You can't allow them to be up here. If Jonathan Taylor gets going and the Colts are up here, well, then Phillip Rivers can get going as well. Then the weapons can get going downfield. Tyler Warren, the tight end. Alec Pierce, a fast, tall receiver. Michael Pittman, a tall receiver with really good ball skills. I mean, this Colts offense is loaded with weapons. It's not going to be a lack of weapons that does the Colts in. It might be the older quarterback, and it might be the injury at left tackle, and you know, it might be the fact that they can't run because the QB threat is not what it once was, but the 49ers cannot assume that. They have to go and play excellent defense because Phillip Rivers has generally been putting the ball where it needs to be. The game against Seattle was fascinating to watch because they didn't call anything deep downfield. They kept it all short. The debate then is, did they keep it short more because they were afraid of Seattle's pass rush, which is really, really good? Or do they keep it short more because Phillip Rivers has gained some weight? He doesn't have the arm strength that he used to have. They definitely didn't want to have him taking hits because he's 44 years old and has been out of the game for 5 years. I think it's very obviously a combination of both factors, but whichever one it leans further toward will determine how the Colts play this game, because the 49ers have the fewest sacks in the NFL. You could talk about Seattle's pass rush being this intimidating world beater that could dictate game flow and dictate game plan. The 49ers haven't had that with their pass rush ever since they lost Nick Bosa and Yetur-Gross Matos. Now, getting YGM back today would be huge because it could up the juice of that pass rush, but still, they're at the very bottom of the league with just 16 sacks. So if the Colts were just throwing short because they're afraid of Seattle's pass rush last week, it stands to reason that they might be pushing the ball a little bit further downfield this week if the primary reason was the pass rush. Now, if the primary reason was Phillip Rivers is old and he can't do it anymore, well, then the 49ers will have a much easier time today. But I think that San Francisco is operating behind a little bit of fog of war as they head into this game. Pretty cool news. Mike just sent this to me. 1 year after giving trucks to his offensive line, Brock Purdy gave 9 vehicles to 49ers fans in need, military veterans and families with children battling pediatric illness. Let's watch the video that the 49ers just put up. It's coming up to Christmas time right now, and this looks like a really good deed from Brock Purdy. 49ers put this video online. We will watch it right now.
Everybody, it's Brock Purdy. This holiday season, I teamed up with Toyota to give back to our community, specifically with some families who are going through some tough times. So we have a handful of families that we're going to help out with Toyotas, plus some other exciting things like game tickets, gear, and signed footballs. So should be a good day. Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing? I'm Brock. Nice to meet you.
It's a real pleasure meeting you,
Yes, sir.
Brock.
Nice to meet you. Thank you guys for coming. My wife and I partnered up with Toyota and wanted to get you guys some goodies for the holiday season and help just brighten up y'all's day. But just so you guys know, like, we appreciate every single one of you guys sitting here and for what you guys have done and what you guys stand for. And we look up to you just for your fight and your courage. So we appreciate all of you guys. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for coming. And to start things off, we got a goodie bag here that each person's gonna get. You got a ball in there. You guys got our new jerseys that we're gonna wear at the end of the year. We haven't worn those yet, but those are our rivalry jerseys we'll be wearing against the Seahawks. Yeah. So, and then on top of that, we wanted to get you guys to the game, so we got game tickets against the Seahawks. So you guys all got some there you go, some tickets. Last thing, so we're gonna head outside and we got one more gift for everybody. So let's make our way outside. For Christmas, we just wanted to help you all out as best as we could. So obviously you guys got your game tickets, jersey, football, and then we also got you guys a car. So for each family, you guys get a car. Yeah, no problem. Yes, sir. Congrats, guys. Yeah, have fun. Yep, thank you guys.
Have fun with your new car.
Let's go. You got a brand new car. Congratulations. Yeah, no problem, guys. That's right. Yep. No problem, guys. Yep.
I'm a veteran and deployed 3 times, joined before 9/11, and today I got this awesome opportunity to be a part of this 49er celebration. I didn't know what to expect, and then the surprises kept on going and going, and now we're outside and Toyota has given us a car.
I don't know if I will ever have adequate words to convey the experience that I had as a parent when we walked outside and saw all of these red bows on these white cars. It's truly been a life-changing experience, and we couldn't be more grateful.
You guys talk to Toyota, but they'll be able to help you out with the wheelchairs, getting in the car and everything too. So you guys will be able to be great in there. So yeah, yes sir, no problem.
Well, we got a lot of brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
so.
let's go. Good. Fit everybody in there. Well, you guys are huge motivation, encouragement, and just you guys fighting and keep going. So I look up to you. That's for sure.
Kind of at a loss for words. It's
No,
that much. I'm still tingling.
I'm just happy that we.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, for everything.
Thanks for coming, buddy, and Merry Christmas. Thank you for giving us encouragement and motivation to keep going in life and everything. So, yes, sir. No problem. Yes, sir. Thanks for everything. Great meeting you. Merry Christmas. See you guys. We'll see you guys soon. God bless you.
Wow. He's oh, here are your 49ers tickets for the Seahawks game. Here are jerseys. I almost forgot that the 49ers are going to wear those black jerseys, the saloon font retro gold miner jerseys for the Seattle game week 18. And then he's like, yeah, while we're at it, here's a car as well. That was cool. That was cool. Good job by the 49ers social media team. Obviously Toyota donating the cars for this, but all for a great cause, and obviously made the Christmas of so many people there. Really neat to see. And then it's just cool to see how good Brock Purdy is with the community. I mean, that's not all that he does, and it's not just giving people cars. It's interacting with people, treating people with respect, and he's just a really good ambassador for the 49ers. He's also a really good quarterback for the 49ers. He's the best in the game this year. Like he ranks at the very top of success rate. He also ranks at the very top of third down performance. I put this up yesterday that this is where Brock Purdy's is in the very top right. This is third and fourth down performance. You want to be on the top right. You want to be as far to the right as possible in completion percentage over expectation. And he's like at plus 18%, which is wild on third downs. And you want to be as high up in terms of EPA per play. Those two have obviously correlated, as you could see here. It's every single NFL quarterback, and then it's Brock Purdy. It's his time to shine, really, over the final 3 games. He obviously doesn't get the credit that he deserves. I think anybody who actually watches this channel, reads my work, and we actually get into facts. We're not just sticking around with feelings. We're not just saying stuff to try to seem cool. We put the real information out there. So everybody who watches this channel already knows that Brock Purdy doesn't get the credit from the mainstream that he deserves because he is one of the elite quarterbacks in this game. But he's going to have a chance to really put that on display, especially if that Seahawks game is in primetime too. There are going to be 3 primetime games for the 49ers to close this season, starting tonight against the Colts, then against the Bears, then against the Seahawks. Obviously, Purdy is a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers now. I have all respect to Phillip Rivers, but he's 44 years old, coming out of retirement. Obviously, Purdy is better than Caleb Williams, and Purdy is obviously better than Sam Darnold, too. Otherwise, Darnold would have started for the 49ers back in 2023 instead of being the QB2. But it's not about quarterback versus quarterback. It's about quarterback versus the defense and how quarterback fits within the scheme and fits on the team and helps push his team forward. And I think that if a quarterback can boost the system and the complementary equation in a way that lifts a team to new heights, that's when he's truly doing his job. And Purdy's going to have a chance to showcase that in a huge, huge way on a national stage primetime over the course of the next 3 weeks. Starting tonight against the Colts, who have just officially activated DeForest Buckner from injured reserve. So the former 49ers defensive tackle, we knew that he was slated to come back, but it is now official, and I would expect the 49ers to make some of those roster moves as well. Yetur-Gross Matos is going to be the likely player that the 49ers activate from IR. I promised, though, that I would talk about Eric Kendricks because he's still on the practice squad for the 49ers. If YGM is indeed activated, he would take up the 53rd and final spot on the 49ers roster. But then they have 2 potential practice squad additions. And Kendricks, the veteran linebacker, might be one of them because we just saw San Francisco put Nick Martin on injured reserve. They are looking for better play out of the strong side linebacker, the 3rd linebacker spot. So Luke Gifford is a good special teams guy for the 49ers. He's been taking most of the snaps at that Sam linebacker spot. And here against the Colts, it's going to be really important, especially if this is a short pass, run-heavy game plan. You're probably going to be in base a lot, and base means that you're running 3 linebackers out there. The 49ers have also run a big nickel package where instead of putting Upton Stout, who's only 5'8", as the de facto 3rd linebacker or nickelback, they've run Jason Pinnock out there. Pinnock's uncle, by the way, played with Phillip Rivers with the Indianapolis Colts about 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago or so. Cool story there. But Pinnock has not been as good against the run because he's a bit of a lighter player. He's more of he is a safety, right? But they have played him at that big nickel spot so they can up the size over Upton Stout. What the 49ers, though, have needed, I think, is a true 3rd linebacker with obviously some coverage skills. That's where Luke Gifford has fallen a bit short. And I think that's where Eric Kendricks might fit in for the 49ers. Maybe on a very limited basis, maybe only 5 to 10 snaps to get him started, but you've got to get him started at some point. The guy had 138 tackles for the Cowboys last year. He was an all-pro back in 2019. The 49ers wanted to sign him last year, but he ended up opting out of the 49ers before he put pen to paper. He had verbally committed to join them. He wanted to rejoin his former coach and defensive coordinator in Dallas, and then Devondre Campbell came instead, and we all know how poorly that went. But I think Kendricks is a perfect fit for what the 49ers need to fill in for that 3rd linebacker spot. Now, the question is Kendricks physically ready? I asked Kyle Shanahan about it this week on Saturday. I said, hey, how's his conditioning? How's this week been? And Shanahan told me that the 49ers really put Eric Kendricks through it this week. This was an intensive week of practice where they wanted to see how his body would respond, and they said it responded really well. Remember, there was some calf tightness the prior week for Eric Kendricks that had the 49ers say, hey, we got to take our time. We're going to shut him down. But they did the rehab. They made sure that he was continuing to build his body back up the right way because this is a guy that hadn't played football since last year. It appeared that he got through this week really well, and it wouldn't surprise me if the 49ers ran the elevation today to start getting his feet wet against the Colts. They're going to have up to 3 practice squad elevations for Eric Kendricks, and there are only 3 weeks left in the regular season. If he turns into somebody who's delivering a sizable role at either strong side linebacker or maybe even weak side linebacker, hell, even maybe Mike at some point, because Eric Kendricks had the radio in his helmet last year. If he turns into somebody delivering a sizable role, I think he's going to get a full-time 53-man promotion, and then you could play him as much as you want. But for the time being, the 49ers can elevate Kendricks from the practice squad temporarily, and they have up to 3 of those, and it gives them true flexibility here and a way to bolster the linebacker position, which has lost a body with Nick Martin heading to injured reserve. He wasn't able to shake those concussion symptoms after he suffered one against the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see if the 49ers do 2 practice squad call-ups today, like 2 legitimate ones today. In the past, the 49ers, last week, for example, they called up Sebastian Valdez, the Hulk, the rookie, even though they weren't going to play him. If you elevate somebody from the practice squad, they get a big pay bump. So when you only have 2 a week, but if you don't need to use both of them, you can actually, and the 49ers, they didn't have to do this, but it was a neat gesture. They've done it twice for the Hulk, for Valdez. They rewarded good play in practice with a bump up, made him inactive, but said, hey, here's some extra pay. So I wonder if the 49ers are going to have 2 legitimate elevations today. Maybe Eric Kendricks is one of them. Maybe they elevate Nick Zakelj because of some questions to Spencer Burford's health along the offensive line, although he was back at practice this week. But if they don't have 2 legitimate elevations to make, I wonder if they do pick a guy to reward with a little bit of extra cash today. Going to be really interesting. Mike brought up a great point. Maybe Eric Kendricks can be the 49ers' Logan Ryan this year. Remember 2023, they had a big cornerback weakness, especially they needed somebody at that nickelback spot in 2023. So they signed Logan Ryan, the veteran, former Pro Bowler, had been with the New England Patriots, had won a couple Super Bowls with the New England Patriots. He had been there, done that, winning kind of player. Last run of his career, they signed Logan Ryan, who was already back home coaching or something. I mean, he wasn't playing professional football. Came in, got into shape, played a lot of key snaps for the 49ers, including some really, really pivotal ones during the NFC Championship game comeback. And I asked Hayden Bethune about it this week, and because I was wondering how the communication was going between him and Kendricks. Like, what was the direction of teaching? Was it Kendricks bringing in his veteran experience, teaching Bethune and the other young linebackers, or was it Bethune and the other young linebackers who already knew the system teaching Kendricks? And I think it was going both ways, which is a healthy dynamic to have on a defense and on a team. And it's funny to me because we said around the trade deadline, after the 49ers had lost both Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, that this team needed more along the defensive line, especially at edge rusher. And this team needed a veteran linebacker. And the 49ers went out and got help along the defensive line. They traded for Keon White. They signed Clelin Ferrell. They were able to get what they needed to keep that unit afloat, right? Now they're going to get Yetur-Gross Matos back, and that should give the defensive line a further boost. Where they didn't make a move was linebacker. And I think that's been a hole for a while now, ever since the 49ers lost Fred Warner. It's been a gaping one, but I think that third linebacker spot all season long has not been great for the 49ers. They went out and got that linebacker with Eric Kendricks, and they got him at a very low cost. I mean, they signed him to the practice squad. So now we could look back and we could say the 49ers filled in every single position that they needed to. 2 defensive linemen, both edge rushers, one with true inside versatility and Keon White because he could rush against tackles like Yetur-Gross Matos. They got 2 of those guys. And they signed the linebacker, the veteran that can help elevate the room, and Eric Kendricks. And they did it at a much cheaper cost than having to go through the trade market. They didn't have to give up draft picks. The only draft pick they gave up was for Keon White, but they didn't have to give up picks for Clelin Ferrell. They didn't have to give up picks for Eric Kendricks. They didn't damage their salary cap situation with any of these additions. I mean, at the end of the day, it looks like these were very shrewd, cost-efficient additions for the 49ers, doing exactly what we charted out was necessary, but not with the splash and the cost that would have hurt this football team. And that's, these types of transactions, these you could call them micro transactions or you could call them non-splashy transactions, but this is why the 49ers have been consistently good over the course of the Shanahan era. This is why they've qualified for the playoffs in 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023, now 2025. It's really hard to be this good for this long in the NFL. This is why they're giving themselves a shot at that Super Bowl again here in 2025. Because at the margins of the roster, they have made efficient moves and they have not caved to ridiculous pressure from fans and from a lot of media that doesn't really know what it's talking about. They have held the course, building this team in a smart way, in a long-term sustainable way. And that doesn't mean that it's been without missteps. There obviously are missteps. It's a crapshoot in the NFL. There's unpredictable stuff. You don't know when Brandon Ayuk is going to leave the team after you give him a $120 million contract. Obviously, that's hurt the 49ers. Obviously, there have been big deals that they've given out that haven't quite yielded a return on investment. But there have been others that have, and then there have been microtransactions, deals and contracts that essentially cost the league minimum that have given the 49ers way more ROI than you could possibly expect. And I think they've been really, really good at those particular maneuvers. And then the proof is in the pudding, right? The proof is in the results. It's been an efficient team year in, year out, ever since Shanahan and Lynch took over and built it up. 2019 was probably the inflection point there. It's a healthy locker room. It's a team with 10 wins now and a chance to go 11-4 and move up from number 6 to number 5 in the NFC playoff seedings today. So why don't we take a look at where the 49ers can move today? I want to give everybody the big picture playoff outlook. So this is what the NFC looks like right now. The 49ers are 10-4, and the Rams right ahead of them are 11-4. San Francisco will move ahead of LA if they can win tonight. That means that the Rams would fall to number 6, and the 49ers would be number 5. Number 5 would play number 4 on the road if the playoffs ended after this weekend. So if that were the case, it would be the 49ers headed to Charlotte to play the Carolina Panthers. Although there are still 2 weeks after this, so that's not exactly a likely outcome. I think they only have about a 15% chance at that number 5 seed when all is said and done. Because, there are big games galore over the final 2 weeks of the regular season. If the 49ers lose tonight, they will stay at number 6. And number 6 is actually mathematically the most likely place for the 49ers to end up when this season is all said and done. But if they win, they maintain a very realistic shot at number 1. Because if they win out, they'll get number 1. They control their destiny to catch the Seattle Seahawks. A loss tonight, though, would mean that the 49ers would absolutely have to win their final 2. Seattle would have to lose to Carolina, and the Rams would have to lose one of their final 2 games to either Atlanta or Arizona for the 49ers to get that number 1 seed. And I don't think, especially the last part of that, is not likely. The Rams probably will not lose again this season. So it's not hyperbole to say that the number 1 seed is on the line tonight for the 49ers. It can't be secured tonight, but it's on the line. They could lose the number 1 seed. They could lose a realistic chance at the number 1 seed. So if you lose tonight, you probably lose the chance at a playoff win, because I equate the number 1 seed with a playoff win. You don't have to play in the wild card round. That's how big this is for the 49ers. The pressure is on. And then, of course, if you want to look at a carrot dangling out in front of them, if they win tonight, this is the wildest thing for me. They will be 5 straight home wins away from hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. because they only play at home for the rest of the regular season. And if they win tonight, they just have to win on December 28th and January 4th at home. And if those two wins happen, then it's just 3 home wins, including the Super Bowl, over January and February, and they hoist the trophy. Considering the fact that, I mean, you go all the way back to week 6 when Fred Warner shattered his ankle, which was after Nick Bosa got hurt. Purdy was indefinitely out at the time. You just look at the full totality of things and you say, the 49ers are favored in a game that can put them 5 home wins away from hoisting a trophy, despite the total mess that they were in injury-wise early October, so about 2.5 months ago. That is just staggering. So, I would just encourage everyone, as you watch tonight, just cherish where the 49ers are. I mean, win or loss, they're in the playoffs now. That's a big relief for them because now they've got some margin for error over the course of these the last 3 games. Not if they want the 1 seed, but at least they'll make the playoffs. But the fact that they've been able to get themselves in this type of positioning, it's such a credit. Probably first and foremost, you start with the leadership. You start with Kyle Shanahan, who has coached his ass off this year. For as much as we talked about last season, Shanahan maybe not quite having the fastball last season, was exhausted after the Super Bowl run. He has been absolutely plugged in this year. The play caller ratings are off the charts, and his cohesion with both Brock Purdy and Mac Jones has been fantastic. I mean, this says it all, right? The 49ers have 2 quarterbacks in the top 4 of the entire league in terms of success rate. So Shanahan is dialed. His quarterbacks are dialed. This was supposed to be a defensive, and it still is, but it was a retool year, right? They had to reset the roster, especially defensively. But that's where you got to credit Robert Saleh for not letting the bottom fall out. They may be ranked number 22 in defensive EPA per play, but last year they were ranked all the way down to the bottom in run defense, not like number 29. This year they're number 14. That's something that's going to have to start trending in the right direction today, though. They were number 7 before the Tennessee game. Saleh has figured out a way to take less. I think they'd have less surface level talent than they did last year defensively because guys are so young, and make more. He's turned less into more defensively and kept that side of the football afloat. And then Brant Boyer, the special teams coordinator, has literally taken the worst unit in the league, number 32, and made them the best unit in the league. It's the 49ers in Seattle are an interchangeable 1 and 2 in special teams. So I think you could build a Mount Rushmore of John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Robert Saleh, and Brant Boyer. Because you have to have 4 up on Mount Rushmore, right? And I think you need the 3 play callers, basically, right? With Shanahan offense, Saleh defense, and Brant Boyer special teams, and then the general manager. Boyer hasn't taken any heat. There's no way you could criticize Brant Boyer. He's gone worst to first on special teams. Saleh has taken heat from a small minority of people who don't understand defense. I still remember people trying to criticize Saleh in 2018 when the 49ers didn't have any talent. So Saleh has generally escaped taking a lot of heat. But Shanahan and Lynch have both taken heat, and it's been a great litmus test for people who don't know what they're talking about. Hey, Lynch, I said it last night. Imagine if Nick Bosa and Fred Warner were healthy. And we saw that in week 1 against Seattle. They went into Seattle and did what the Rams couldn't do. They beat the Seahawks in regulation in week 1, and they completely snuffed out the Seahawks offense. They did that without George Kittle, by the way. He hurt his hamstring on the first drive of the game. Or yeah, maybe the second drive. He only scored the very first touchdown, and then there was no Kittle. They did it with Brock Purdy playing on a freshly hurt turf toe for the majority of the game. This team, John Lynch, you could safely say that he built a juggernaut of a roster, even though this was a roster reload offseason. Remember everybody saying the 49ers didn't do enough in the offseason? They're all freaking out around free agency. Why are they letting these players go? Consider the fact that the roster that John Lynch built, when healthy, probably is the best roster in the league. Top 2, I would say. The proof was in that Seattle game, even without George Kittle, where the 49ers won convincingly against Seattle. I mean, Statistically, they dominated Seattle in that game. Of course, it took some heroics at the very end from Brock Purdy, but that was a strong arming of the Seahawks in week 1, featuring the roster that John Lynch built in what was a hectic offseason where a lot of people thought the 49ers weren't trying to win. So, maybe, just maybe, people should give some respect to the way that the 49ers built this in the offseason, because the proof is there. Despite the fact that they've suffered the most injuries in the entire NFL, like almost a record amount of injuries this year, the 49ers remain 10-4, favored to get to 11-4. They've clinched the postseason with 3 games left in the season, which is staggering. And they have a chance at the number 1 seed, despite all those injuries. That's how deep and that's how good this roster is. So, and there's not a single other team in the NFL that is capable of saying that they've overcome the amount of adversity that the 49ers have. I've used this comparison so many times, but just go to the Rams and say, no Matthew Stafford, no Devontae Adams, no Jared Verse, no Nate Landman. Take away another receiver, no Puka Nacua. Just those 5. How will the Rams be without those 5 players? Because the 49ers have had to play more than half of this season with a similar setup. They wouldn't be, the Rams wouldn't be where they are right now at 11-4 for sure without all those players. That's the kind of job that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have done. Not only building the roster, but also persevering with what they have after all of the injuries in the week since. There's a look at Kyle. I'm going to answer a few questions, and then I have to catch a flight to Indianapolis. It's a quick one today, going from Nashville to Indianapolis. Prediction for tonight, I have it up on the San Francisco Standard, by the way. Let's get this up on the screen. Tim actually thinks the 49ers are going to lose tonight. He has 27-24 Colts. I have 31-21 49ers. I think we all know what would happen if the Rams lost all those players. They would not be nearly as good as they are right now. I think what the 49ers are doing is exceptional, and I think that McVay does not get that benefit of the doubt because 49ers fans didn't give their own team the benefit of the doubt. I remember the comment section after the Tampa Bay game. Everybody was saying, let's pack it up for next season. And there was some talks about firing Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. So if you're not going to give your own team the benefit of the doubt, don't sit here when they're 10-4 and say that the Rams will do the same thing because McVay's a good coach if they lost 5 players. That's the opposite of objectivity. I don't think any team, to be honest, deserves the benefit of the doubt when they lose as much as the 49ers have just because of realism. But that's why I think, people should cherish where the 49ers are at right now, given how much they've lost, because I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in NFL history, especially after the salary cap has come into play. I mean, it used to be that you could just load up your team by paying guys a bunch of money and you didn't have any sort of governor on that. Salary cap gets introduced in the mid-90s. You're not supposed to be able to overcome as much as the 49ers have overcome. Now, speaking of overcoming adversity, the Colts, Phillip Rivers, he was on all those 49ers Zoom calls in 2022 when they were running out of quarterbacks. They were thinking about signing him. They would have signed him had they won the NFC Championship game. Indianapolis is trying to save their season tonight with a 44-year-old quarterback. So there's another side to this, another side to the coin, and it's going to be a really compelling watch tonight. But I predict that the 49ers are going to win this one 31-21. You should all sign up for the San Francisco Standard. I think that Jordan Elliott's going to be the defensive star of the game coming back. That's another return for San Francisco. I think Purdy's going to be the offensive star of the game. Remember, the Colts are missing both of their top cornerbacks in Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward. I think that the 49ers' multiple returns on defense are going to be the X factor. Time of possession is going to be huge. make sure that Phillip Rivers has to sit back there and throw a little bit more often than he's comfortable. And my prediction is 49ers 31, Colts 21. If Tim gets his right, he's gotten 10 in a row right, which would be wild. But you guys should all sign up for the San Francisco Standard. It is up on the screen. I've got to fly to Indianapolis. This was our final show before the big game tonight. 49ers can leap over the Rams officially with a win in Indy against Phillip Rivers. Storylines galore, including Brock Purdy against the Colts defense without its top two cornerbacks, including the 49ers against Jonathan Taylor. And, we can't forget Christian McCaffrey. A little bit of an update just to finish this, because it is possible that he hits one of these milestones tonight. He is technically off 1,000 pace. He didn't have a big game last week. But Christian has, on the season, here in 2025, 922 rushing yards. So he is 78 away from 1,000 rushing yards. And he's got 820 receiving yards. So he is 180 receiving yards away from 1,000. I think that he could get that rushing total today against a very good Colts run defense, but we'll see if Christian can get to 1,000 rushing yards. And if he could tack on 80 receiving yards, if he could have a nice, big, multifaceted game, it could really set the table for the final 2 weeks of the season where he might be able to go 1,000. So don't forget the milestones for Christian McCaffrey. Don't forget that Brock Purdy has been the top quarterback this year in the league when it comes to that third down efficiency. It's going to be huge in the clutch tonight against a good Colts team. Enjoy Monday Night Football. I've got to go get on a plane. We will see you all in Indy.